Hello, everyone. Welcome to VWO's Ask Me Anything session. This is your host, Abhishek. This is where we answer all your queries about experimentation and optimization. These AMAs are a great opportunity for you to interact with our VW experts and get any of your questions answered and get better at optimization. Today on our panel, we are joined by two VW experts, Diksha from the optimization team and Anshul from our product team. Our panelists here will guide you to create the best experiences possible for your visitors. So let's dive in with the very first question, handing it over to Anshul.
Thank you, Abhishek. All right, so the first question uh, that's sent over is how can I link my funnels to my experiments? I did not have a chance to follow up on this question, so I'd like to answer both the aspects of this. The first one is how do I analyze a funnel to generate experiment ideas? And the second part would talk about how do I see the impact of my experiments on uh, on my business funnel. So, trying to answer the first part, uh, funnels are actually a really great way in order to if you're looking to identify where is it where are the leaks in your conversion path. You know, you can set up a funnel to mimic the exact journey that the visitors on your website would take. You can have the first step as where they would ideally land. You can have the second step as what actions they would do, and so on. And the last step would be where they would take a final action. Maybe it's a purchase or it's a sign up for a subscription, etc. By setting up a funnel like this, you're able to quantitatively identify where exactly are leaks in the user journey. And since this is quantitative data, you can even prioritize if you identify that there are multiple areas on your website that you could optimize. After this prioritization, you could create and test multiple hypotheses on the area that would generate the maximum kind of impact. So, obviously to create this hypothesis, not just, you won't just use one single observation because that observation has pointed out where is the leak. Now you want to also understand why is it that the visitors on my website are dropping off, right? So for that, you can make use of multiple other tools. If you are using VW Insights, you also get the visitor recordings, you get heat maps bundled in. So you're able to utilize all of that. And even if need be, ask a direct question to your visitors using on-page surveys and get responses from them. So combining all of this information, you can create and test hypotheses that would ideally fix the leak that you have detected and prioritized. To answer the second part, or my second interpretation of this question is how do I see the impact of my experiments on funnels? Um, Again, you can analyze the funnels over time. So maybe you can take a snapshot of where the funnel was before you started the experiment and where it was after. Uh, but this entire process is even more simpler if you're using VWO Insights. You can simply go to the funnel that you've set up that represents this journey that the visitor is going to take, and you will find a filter named test campaign. This is a filter which will allow you to only look at the funnel for visitors that became a part of the test. You can even make it as specific uh, as you can call out one single variation and just see the impact of that on the funnel. And combining all of this data, you can judge what kind of impact your experiment had on what stages of your website, on what parts of your website. I hope this answers your question. If there's any follow-up, please feel free to put it on the questions box. Back to you, Abhishek.
Thank you, Anshul, for the lovely description. Now we'll open the forum if anybody has a particular question regarding the very first topic. We'll hold on for a second and I'm happy to answer the particular questions. Else, we'll move on to the next question. Here's hoping that you have some amazing queries regarding this one. Okay, moving on to another question. Diksha, the next question is a very critical question that most experimenters must and should know about. It's about testing roadmaps. Handing it over to you.
Yes, absolutely, Abhishek. I think we get this question a lot where users want to understand, how to create a solid testing roadmap for their businesses or how to decide what to optimize and when. So the CRO process of A/B testing can be a bit overwhelming for any given business, which is why creating a roadmap is such an important step. The process of creating an optimization or testing roadmap is essential because it requires you to define your goals, align it with your stakeholders, and access priorities and risks. It's not just about outlining a testing schedule altogether. So a roadmap ensures that each tweak, change, test, and insight adds value to the next step and accordingly strengthens it to deliver the improved results. So what does it does? So it helps you in building a strategic approach. Suppose you want to improve the conversion rate of your e-commerce website, and there could be tons of possible ways to do it. You can prioritize your homepage, product page, checkout flow, cart page, and so on. Now, without a roadmap, it would be very difficult to know which one to prioritize, and you might just end up spending too much of your time while testing each one of them. On the other hand, if you follow a roadmap, prioritize your tests, and plan them out, you can be assured of more promising results. The primary question remains unanswered here. So, how are we supposed to do that? That's now what I'm going to take up next. So, to answer that, there are few steps that can be followed to create an A/B test roadmap for your site. First, understand your business goals. As your business goals are going to be foundation of your CRO process, it is very crucial that you consider them as the macro goal for your all your hypotheses when you're going to create campaigns or tests and align your campaigns as per those CRO metrics. For example, if you are in a lead generation website business, a business goal may vary from quantity to quality. So there could be a goal just to increase the quantity of lead generations, and there could be a goal to improve the quality of lead generations. That is where you need to align your CRO hypothesis that what is the business goals for you, whether it's a quantity or the quality. Or say, for example, of an e-commerce website, we may have a macro goal to increase the overall conversion rate, that is the number of users converting upon the number of users landing on your site. As compared, there could be a goal to increase the average order value. So it is the first step remains very crucial is to first align your hypothesis with your business goals. Now, the second metric or the second pointer that needs to be taken care of is break your business goals into further categories and try incorporating them as a part of your CRO process. For example, if your business goal is to improve the quality of leads, you can break them further down into following metrics like engagement rate improvement, improvement in the bounce rate of your site, gated content download, and improvement in the click-through rates. Why are we doing this? The reason why we are doing and breaking the macro goals into the micro goals is because when you will be creating hypotheses or campaigns around it, it may, after running a campaign for about, say, a particular time period, you may or may not be able to get the significant results at your macro goal. So it's very crucial to make sure that you create several micro goals at the same time while you're testing it to get the impact of your campaign on each of those micro goals. Now, moving on to the third step, it would understand your baseline. For all your key metrics that I mentioned above, be sure to analyze your historical data so that you can condense it into a baseline basis, the trends and the patterns it shows. There could be a particular pattern that you can observe, understanding the past data maybe through the Google Analytics tool or Omniture or any given, analytical tool that you uses, and try under getting into the depth of it to make sure that you have a baseline ready before you start testing. The next and the most crucial step comes, which is building a structured hypothesis. So your hypothesis should not be of your hypothesis for testing should not be based on just the gut feeling or what your competitors are doing. Rather, do a heuristic analysis of your site by understanding the behavioral, analytical, as well as the competitive aspect of it and building your hypothesis based on those data. For example, if you observed a high drop-offs at product and the checkout page, you should consider prioritizing them. Once the leaky buckets have been identified on your site through VWO Insights, you can understand the behavioral aspect of the users on those pages. On the product page, you could, through the click map analysis, through the scroll map analysis, you can understand that where you have placed your add to cart CTA, maybe only 60% of the users are scrolling up to that point. Or through the click map analysis, you could see that because there are so many distractions on your cart page or on the checkout page, users are not completing the transactions. Rather, they are getting distracted by the other elements present on those pages. So once after you identify the leaky buckets, you through the behavioral aspect, you understand how users are behaving on those leaky buckets. Now you'll have a couple of campaigns based on the above hypothesis and the data that you collect, which in your bucket, which can be prioritized in a manner to evaluate which campaigns are more likely to yield maximum results first. There are several frameworks to do so. First one being PIE framework by Chris Covert. In this model, each hypothesis is given a score out of 1 to 10 on 3 factors, which is potential, importance, and ease. This translates to the amount of potential a particular hypothesis has in improving the performance of a page. How important is it to optimize a particular page, and how easily the task can be accomplished? Followed by another model that I would like to discuss over here, that is TIR model by Brian Essenberg. As per this framework, a score of 1 to 5 is assigned based on time, impact, and resources, which means that a test that requires minimal time has the most impact and requires the least amount of readily available resources would be given a 5 under every factor. Once done, individual scores of each factor are multiplied and the highest priority is given to one with the largest score. Then the third model over here is ICE. This is something that we use in VWO as well, which is given us to by Sean Ellis. As per this model, a score of 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, is assigned to each hypothesis based on the likely impact it would have, the level of confidence you have in that hypothesis, and what is the level of ease with which it can be implemented. Once all 3 scores are added, the hypothesis with the highest score can be given a priority. So now jumping on to the example that I shared, you have 2 pages, 2 leaky buckets on your site, product page as well as the cart page. Once you start, giving them numbers based on any of the frameworks that I discussed, or if there are any other framework that you uses in your company, you can use the same. Give numbers to each one of them based on that framework, and then it would make your jobs even easier in terms of prioritizing them. As everything has been done, now collate all the information collected so far and create a proper schedule to plan out your experiments, considering their priority order, resource bandwidth, and the time it requires for implementation. To conclude, I would say, CRO with a roadmap is something that ensures every test is tied up with your business goal. You're most likely to rely on, the disintegrated efforts without one, and which may or may not show significant results. Therefore, road mapping is the way to achieve success with CRO and drive noteworthy business growth. Please feel free to, ask your queries if any. Over to you, Abhishek. I think you can take it out from here.
Sure. Thanks, Diksha. Thanks for chatting out the roadmap very clearly. I hope it's very helpful for all the attendees here. Again, asking our forum over here to raise their hands, ask their queries regarding this particular question or any specific query that they have in mind. You can also post a question in chat or questions. Very well, we'll move on to the next question that we've had. It's a question about how to segment your users on a particular app. Handing it over to Anshul right now.
Thank you, Abhishek. So the question is, I need to segment my users for my app by clicking the ads for my app and make A/B test remotely controlling my app screens. I believe the person is trying to ask us if someone lands on their app using by after seeing a particular ad, or after clicking on a particular ad, how do they run an A/B test on visitors that match this criteria. So it's fairly simple actually. You need a way in which you can uniquely identify visitors that are landing on your website or your app after clicking an ad. A very common way is that you use UTM underscore campaign parameter if it's a search campaign and you're using UTM targeting for it, or you can identify what exact what unique parameters get associated with the visitor when they click on this ad. If it's an on-page ad, maybe there's a variable that lets you identify it. If it's, as I said, a search ad, you can in fact set up that search ad to include a query parameter such as UTM underscore campaign and give it a very specific value, such as new product launch or a completely revamped experience ad that you've been running. Uh, After you have identified this way in which you can target these people, you need to set that up in VWO and simply create your A/B test. You can even customize if you want to check this setting once and ensure that the visitors get the same experience throughout their journey, even if they've returned to your app without clicking on that ad. Since they clicked on the ad for the first time, you can customize that they should have the same experience as they had when they landed on your app for the first time. You also have an option to enforce that this particular criteria is checked every single time. Whatever the use case is that you have on your hands, you will be able to use this targeting criteria and create an A/B test for your visitors. I hope this answers the question. If you have any follow-ups, please feel free to post that in the chat box.
Thank you, Anshul. We do have a raised hand. One of our attendees has a follow-up question on the particular query that we've been tending to. I'll be quickly unmuting their mic so that they can continue with their question. Here we go.
Sure.
Hi.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for the session. This is really helpful. I do work for my organization in regards to setting up basically the tests and then analyzing them. I think it was my question actually. Thank you, Diksha, for the reply on how to set up the roadmap. I understand how to think about how to set basically the roadmap, but technically, is there any platform, is there any type of maybe, I don't know, a software or an Excel that we can rely on it, like a template where we can fill it up? Because for me at this stage, being a new user for VWO, I know the data of our current website, I know the history, I know the customer behavior or the prospect behavior, and I do have my objectives. But how to make them all summed up in one place, that's my challenge currently, Diksha.
Okay, thank you for your question. I think to answer that, you have that capability within the VWO tool itself. We do have a plan layer in the tool. I think when you go on your dashboard, in the left-hand side, there is a plan layer on which, through which utilizing that, you can create your observations, you can prioritize your campaigns, you can create hypotheses, and so on. So if you click on any of which, say for example, the observations, you would be able to create an observation, which is you can set your description, you can set the page URL where you would like to create your campaign for, and accordingly you can create attachments and give labels to it. Now, how that comes into play is, in your hypothesis section, there is going to be several columns which are going to talk about backlogs, selected for testing, which is, again, there is one for testing, completed, and the archive. This view is going to give you like how many campaigns are there in the backlog. So what backlogs does is, while you will be creating campaigns, as I mentioned that we use ICE framework, you will be, each campaign or each test will be given a particular score. And through that score, automatically the campaign, which hypothesis, for example, hypothesis number 23, which was adding a sale banner, and hypothesis number 21, which was optimizing the checkout flow on your maybe payment page, is there. Now, depending upon which one of them has got a better score through IC framework, you will be able to see that list in the backlog, and you can accordingly, move them for testing, or they can be, taken care into the flow. So that is one thing that I think you can definitely use, and provide us your feedback. How did you like it? And, was there any issue? I think if you log into your account as well, if you have been testing in the past, you will be able to see that hypothesis flow there.
Correct. I do see them now. However, this is on a personal level. I can, yes, plan for my upcoming things, but say that the very first step on setting up the road after I put my, for example, the initial testing ideas, I need to have them approved, for example, with a stakeholder, because this involves other parties as well. I need to check it with our IT developers to see whether these are doable, not doable, and really size it up, because I'm here as an analyst, I cannot size it up. So how will they enter or view this dashboard basically to give their ratings there? Is it accessible for the team, or can we share it with them? How does it work?
Yes. Absolutely, you can share it with the stakeholders. I think we do have that capability through which you can share the access and the login, the control access to the other members of your team. Having said that, there are other project management tools as well, through which if internally in your organization you're using any one of them, you can use them. Be it Right, be it Asana, be it Jira boards. There are a lot of project management tools which can be used for the same purpose. But if you are doing A/B testing, I would highly recommend you to use the one that you have in your VWO tool itself, and you can definitely, share that with the team. You can get in touch with our support team and see how to get that process fixed. And once that will be done, I think it would make your life easier. Also, feel free to reach out to us if you face any query with regards to any of the product features that VWO has, so that we can take it up separately at a personal level and then, solve that out.
Okay, this is clear. Thank you so much. So it is under plan hypothesis, right?
Yeah, there is. Yes, in the plan you have observation, hypothesis, and in the ideas section you'll find a couple of good ideas that we have tested in the past that can, you can just go through them, add filters which are there in the right hand sections. There are filters by difficulty, filter by implementation time, and so on and forth. You can go through them, take ideas from there. So say for example, if you're planning to run a campaign on your cart page, you can add that filter and see what are the testing ideas that maybe, you have already have one in mind, but how you can even improvise it further.
Okay, so these are like ideas or initiative from VWO team themselves.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we have added the implementation time as well to make your jobs even easier. That will give you a rough estimation on how much development time that is there.
This is really helpful.
Thank you so much, and hope you, get a hands-on experience on this, and please definitely, provide your feedback too.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This session is happening on a weekly basis.
Yes, correct. We host it every Thursday. We do roll out new schedules for it every first week of the month, so you will know exactly what topic we're covering. But we do host these sessions every Thursday.
Okay, so if I subscribe to this session, does it mean that I'm going to get the invitation automatically, or I need to subscribe individually? How does it work? Because really this is helpful, and I would be an attendee for every session, like every week.
So currently what you would have to do is to subscribe to the particular session as of right now on your own. But what I will do from my end is I will send you the invite for the next couple of sessions, so it is easier for you. And then you can just quickly add them to your calendar as well.
Okay, I'll be waiting for that. Thank you so
Great.
much, guys.
Thank you. Moving on to the next question and the final question that we have another question regarding improving conversion rates on mobile pages. So handing it over back to Diksha.
Thank you, Abhishek. And yes, So we have received this question that what are the some of the ways through which we can improvise the conversion rates, especially on the mobile pages. So as we know, as per the recent reports, more than 50% of the traffic on websites are through mobile device. And as per the recent findings with the Ericsson Mobile Report, predicting a 25% increase in mobile traffic by 2025. To add one more report over here, according to Google, 85% of online shoppers start a purchase on one device and finish on another. This definitely creates a room and gives us an opportunity to make sure that we take mobile device optimization into consideration while preparing a roadmap for our CRO process. I'll keep this answer very brief by what are the few of the ways through which we can do that. But definitely, as I mentioned earlier, on this session as well, that there are a couple of ideas in our plan layer that can be utilized to get to add that filter over there and see what are different type of campaigns that one can run. Now, as mobile devices screen could differ from one device to another, having a responsive design could be one of the best ways to enhance the user experience on your device. As the screen space is limited on the mobile device, we have to make sure that it does not impact the user navigation flow on the site. As you must have seen that, when you are scrolling on a mobile device, and if the top navigation is not sticky, you have to scroll all up in order to maybe go to your home page or interact with the other pages on the devices. Because the screen space is limited, the information has to be provided in such limited space that overall length of the page increase. And then you have to scroll a lot more in order to maybe, say for example, if you are on the product page or the product listing page, to go through all the page, all the categories or all the product options on the page, you have to scroll a lot down. By having a top nav sticky, you are psychologically going to give your users a confidence to engage with the site, to engage with the other contents of the page, and they may not fear that again they have to, scroll so much up to interact with other elements or to go from one page to another. Having said that, try keeping the primary information and the CTAs as highlighted as possible and as above on the fold as we can. Now, taking another example of an e-commerce website where you have a product page. Now, on the product pages, what is the most important thing that can be a turning point for your users? Maybe from a visitor to your user. It could be visual impact, that could be the product image. It could be the name of the product, the reviews, and the brand USP that you have. Depending upon what is the turning point for your users, you need to keep them highlighted within the first fold itself. And then the next question comes is the primary call to action button of that page, or what is the action item that you want a user to perform. On a product page, we all know that we want a user to click on add to cart CTA and move down the funnel. So that is the one action item that needs to be highlighted along with highlighting the image. So these are few of the key pointers that needs to be taken care. And to conclude, I would say make sure that the cognitive load of your pages are not high, as it only takes extra 2 to 3 seconds for some mobile users to deem a process too long and abandon a site. The ease of use and flow of your mobile website can make or break your mobile CRO process. Mobile shoppers convert 160% more often on sites that are optimized as compared to than those that are not optimized. So make sure your mobile site is responsive, directly gets to the point, and all primary call to action items are being highlighted. Keep testing. Feel free to ask your queries if any.
Thank you, Diksha. Thank you for the great answer. Opening the forum again for questions. If you've got any other question related to this last question or any idea that you want to bounce off with us, this is a great time to ask your questions. Okay, so we are actually out of time now. I'll wrap up the session now. That was a great interaction that we had today, Diksha and Anshul. Any last comments that you would like to add relating to any of the 4 questions before we close the session? Okay. So thank you, Diksha and Anshul, for addressing all our customer queries. I encourage all our participants that are still online to keep submitting your questions and discussing new ideas with us on this particular uh, session series. See you all next time. Keep experimenting.